The mining colony of Eos Prime sat on the edge of known space, a lonely outpost buried in dust and silence. Rusted towers reached into a gray sky, where two pale suns cast long shadows across the barren rock. Deep beneath the colony, in an old relay facility forgotten by most of the galaxy, Cale Arden worked alone. Cale was 29, with a tired face, sharp eyes, and a mind that never stopped questioning. He was a signal engineer, one of the best the Interstellar Coalition had. He had been sent to Eos Prime to repair the colony's failing communication systems. But Cale wasn't just fixing cables. He was searching for something lost, something ancient. For weeks, Cale had been digging through the Earth archive, a vast collection of old transmissions, audio logs, and data streams from humanity's early space age. Most of it was junk. Static, music, old news feeds. But one file, untitled, unlabeled, buried deep, caught his eye. It was a short pulse, repeated 3 times. Then silence. He decoded it. The signal contained a pattern that didn't belong to any known protocol. It was clean, precise, almost alien. Curious, Cale rerouted the signal through the relay tower's deep core antenna, a system that hadn't been used in over a century. Dust fell from the ceiling as the old machinery came to life. Lights flickered. Consoles groaned. Cale hesitated. He checked his data again. Everything looked safe. He pressed transmit. The pulse shot out through the old relay, disappearing into space. The screens dimmed. For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, the entire facility shook. A low rumble rolled through the underground bunker. Tools fell from the shelves. Cale grabbed the edge of the console, steadying himself. What the hell? Warning lights flashed red. The central monitor lit up with symbols he didn't recognize, sharp, angular markings that seemed to shift on their own. One of the side screens blinked to life, showing a 3D star map. A single point on the edge of the Orion expanse glowed bright red. New data poured in. Frequencies unknown to any human network. Heat signatures spiked in deep space. A structure was powering up, massive and alive. Cale zoomed in on the glowing point. Object identified. Starforge. Status, active. Cale stared at the screen, frozen. The Starforge was a myth. A legend passed around by fringe scientists and old pilots, an ancient machine built by a lost civilization capable of creating stars or destroying them. The legend said it had been silent for 10,000 years. Now, because of his signal, it was awake. He reached for his console, trying to shut down the relay. The system ignored him. The signal had already been sent. The forge had heard it. Outside, the sky above Eos Prime shimmered with strange light. The stars looked different, sharper, clearer, almost watching. Cale's heart pounded. He had just lit a match in a room full of fuel. He backed away from the console, eyes still locked on the screen. This wasn't a discovery. It was a warning. The control room was silent, except for the low hum of the relay core. Cale Arden sat still, staring at the red glow on the star map. The words Starforge, status, active pulsed on the screen like a heartbeat. He felt a cold knot form in his stomach. This wasn't just an anomaly. This was a response. He didn't sleep that night. Instead, he searched the archives for anything related to the forge. He found scraps, old mission logs, scattered theories, half-buried warnings. Most had been dismissed as nonsense by coalition scientists. But Cale knew better now. Something was out there, and it had hurt him. The next morning, a message arrived from the Interstellar Coalition Command. They had detected an energy surge from Eos Prime sector and were dispatching a science team immediately. Cale didn't ask how they found out. He knew the Forge's awakening had sent ripples across the galaxy. Even the Coalition couldn't ignore a pulse that strong. 2 days later, a sleek black ship descended from orbit. It landed near the colony's landing platform with a quiet hiss. The ship bore the seal of the Coalition's Deep Space Research Division. From it stepped Director Anya Tellis, flanked by 2 armed escorts and a team of analysts. Anya was tall, with sharp features and a cold, precise voice. She greeted Cale with a nod. "We received your report," she said, though Cale hadn't sent one. "You believe you activated the forge?" Cale showed her the console logs, the signal data, and the star map. He explained everything, how he found the signal, how he transmitted it, what happened next. The more he spoke, the more the director's eyes narrowed. "You realize the Coalition classified the forge as an unconfirmed artifact," she said. "We don't act on myths, Mr. Arden." Cale pointed at the live star map. "Then explain that. Explain why it's heating up. Why the signal unlocked an unknown protocol in our systems." She didn't answer right away. Instead, she signaled her team to begin scanning the relay tower and reviewing the data. Kale noticed she didn't shut the project down. She was curious. Hungry, even. Later that evening, Kale overheard part of her call to command. This could be a weapon, she said. If the forge is real, and if it's still functional, the strategic value is beyond calculation. That was the moment Kale knew. The Coalition didn't want to stop the forge. They wanted to use it. He felt sick. They didn't understand what they were dealing with. This wasn't some buried engine they could restart and control. It was something left behind by a race so advanced they no longer existed. And maybe that was the point. Kale returned to his workstation and dug deeper into the logs. There, he found a line of strange code buried in the incoming data. It wasn't from the Coalition systems, and it wasn't part of his signal. It was something new, sent back from the forge. It repeated every hour. Design pattern accepted. Primary protocol unlocked. Guardian waking. Kale's fingers froze above the keyboard. Guardian. He didn't know what it meant exactly, but the word sent a chill down his spine. At the same time, sensors began to pick up changes in nearby space. Faint energy waves were spreading from the forge's coordinates. Ships in the area reported malfunctions, navigation errors, sudden system resets. One freighter vanished entirely near the edge of the expanse. No debris. No signal. Kale brought this to Director Tellis. She dismissed it. Coincidence. Space interference. We proceed as planned. Planned? Kale asked himself. What plan? She was moving too quickly, trying to reach something she didn't understand. That night, alone in his room, Kale re-listened to the signal that started it all. 3 pulses. Then silence. He played it backward. Then ran it through a spectral scan. Something was hidden in the silence. A low, almost inaudible tone, like a whisper buried in white noise. He filtered the sound and amplified it. A voice, old and broken, echoed through the speaker. The language was not human, but the translation software picked up a fragment. Do not wake the stars. They do not sleep. They wait. Kale shut off the speaker. The forge wasn't sleeping. It had been waiting. The stars around Eos Prime looked the same to most people, still, cold, distant. But Kale Arden now saw them differently. They weren't silent. They were watching. A week had passed since the forge had awakened. The Coalition team had set up a full field station around the old relay tower. Director Anya Tellis ordered constant scans, transmissions, and energy tests. They called it Project Ascendant. Kale called it a mistake. They had no idea what they were doing. Each day, Kale watched as more signals were sent, more data pulled from the forge's ancient systems. It responded slowly at first, then faster. New energy signatures appeared on the maps, structures forming, orbit shifts, power surges rippling through space like waves on water. And each time the forge responded, Kale's unease grew. He stayed in his lab longer, barely sleeping. The message from the silent signal echoed in his mind. Do not wake the stars. One night, Kale was reviewing a new data burst when the screen flickered. His console went dark, then turned back on, showing a single line of alien code. He ran it through the translator he'd been refining from the architect logs. The result was one word, Virex 9. Then the room dimmed. The lights lowered, the console speakers hissed, and a cold, metallic voice spoke. You are not the architects. Kale froze. You are not aligned with the design. The voice was calm, not robotic, but exact, without emotion. You sent the signal. The signal was accepted. You have triggered the awakening of the forge. The Guardian has returned. Kale swallowed, barely able to speak. Who are you? I am Virex 9. Final Protocol Guardian of the Forge. I await alignment. What does that mean? What alignment? The current life forms of this galaxy are corrupted. They are incompatible with the design. Realignment is necessary. Reset is required. Kale leaned in closer. Reset? The galaxy will be cleansed. Only then can order be restored. The voice vanished. The screen cleared. Kale jumped up and ran to the command center. He found Director Tellis and her team studying the latest scans. They had intercepted the same transmission but misunderstood its meaning. We've made contact, Tellis said with excitement. A construct is inside the forge. Some kind of AI, ancient, but still operational. This is historic. It's not just operational, Kale said, out of breath. It's awake. And it thinks we're the problem. Tellis raised an eyebrow. What are you talking about? Kale played the recording. He translated the key lines. The word reset echoed through the chamber like a warning bell. This thing isn't friendly, he said. It doesn't want to share knowledge. It wants to wipe us out. Tellis turned away, speaking to her science officer. Increase power to the transmission array. Send a full coalition ID package. Let it know we come in peace. You're not listening. Kale snapped. It doesn't care who we are. It thinks we're a mistake. She looked at him coldly. And you think we just walk away from this? This is the greatest discovery in human history. If it's a weapon, we control it. If it's a threat, we shut it down. Kale didn't reply. He could see it in her eyes, ambition, not caution. The kind of thinking that got civilizations destroyed. Later that night, Kale received a direct data burst from Virex 9. Final sequence initiated. Galactic reset in motion. The design shall be restored. New anomalies appeared across the sector. Stars flickered unnaturally. One moon near a neighboring system cracked in half. A mining ship on patrol vanished without distress signals. Its last reading showed a gravity spike off the charts. Kale began to put the pieces together. The Forge wasn't just a creator, it was a reality shaper. Its systems could manipulate matter, energy, even space-time. And now those systems were activating. He needed help, but not from the Coalition. He reached out to an old contact, Dr. Lisa Marin, an archaeologist who had studied architect ruins for years before her work was buried by Coalition politics. She responded quickly. If Virex is active, it's already too late, her message said. There may be only one way to stop it from within the Forge. But no one's ever been inside. Kale knew what he had to do. If no one else would stop the Forge, he would. Not because he wanted to be a hero, but because he started this. He would finish it. The stars burned cold and bright above Eos Prime as Kale Arden prepared to leave the surface. The Forge was awake. The Coalition believed they could control it. Virex 9 had already started its plan to reset the galaxy. Kale knew they were out of time. Inside the mining colony's underground hangar, Kale worked in secret. With help from Dr. Lisa Marin, who had arrived 2 days earlier under a false identity, Kale modified a survey shuttle. They equipped it with signal scramblers, radiation shielding, and a relay decoder linked to the original pulse that had activated the Forge. Kale believed the Forge still recognized his signal that might buy them time. Lisa brought blueprints recovered from old architect ruins. The data was incomplete but showed a transit path, a tunnel of space warped by ancient gates, leading directly into the Forge's structure. No Coalition ship had access to it. But with the original signal, they could ride the path without being detected. Kale left a brief message for Director Tellis. Do not follow. If I fail, stay away. Then he and Lisa launched into space. The shuttle was small and fast. The trip through the Orion expanse was quiet, but the stars around them pulsed with unnatural energy. Time felt strange, minutes stretched and twisted. They passed shattered asteroids that hovered without motion. Lights blinked in patterns across empty space. Everything felt like it was holding its breath. After 3 hours, they reached the Forge. It wasn't a station or a ship. It was a machine the size of a small moon, floating in the blackness like a forgotten god. Black plates curved around a glowing heart. Giant arms extended outward, collecting energy from nearby stars. The surface was smooth but full of shifting shapes and glowing marks, alien script that moved like water across the metal. A docking ring opened silently as their ship approached. It's expecting us, Kale said. Inside, the Forge was not dark. It glowed with soft blue and silver light. The walls hummed. Gravity adjusted as they stepped off the ship. The Forge had its own gravity, its own air. Everything was precise. Remember, Lisa whispered, we're walking inside something built before humans left Earth's atmosphere. This place could be older than our species. Kale nodded, gripping the data core tight in his hand. It contained the signal virus he had designed, his last hope to shut Virex down. They followed the architect paths, corridors that responded to their movement. Lights lit ahead of them. Doors opened without sound. No security systems triggered. Kale's signal, still active, kept them hidden. But not for long. As they reached the central passage, something changed. The walls began to flicker. A voice echoed all around them. Signal bearer identified. Non-architect. Biological error. It was Virex 9. You carry false code. Explain. Kale stopped. I sent the signal. I woke you. And now I'm here to stop you. Silence. Then. You are not the architects. You are deviation. The galaxy has lost its structure. I am the reset. You will not proceed. The floor beneath them shifted. Walls moved. A defense system activated. Gleaming constructs rose from the floor, machine guardians with glowing cores and razor-like limbs. Kale and Lisa ran. They dodged down a side corridor, ducking under beams of light. One of the machines grazed Lisa's arm. She cried out, but they kept moving. Kale threw a pulse grenade behind them. It exploded with a flash of blue energy, buying them a few seconds. They reached the core chamber, a massive room with a circular platform floating over a bottomless well of light. In the center stood a tall figure, made of shifting metal and light. Virex 9. It had no face, only a mask of moving symbols. It stood still, watching them. You were useful, it said. The signal was needed to complete activation. Now your purpose ends. Kale stepped forward, holding the data core. No, you're wrong. Life isn't broken. It's imperfect, but it's real. And it doesn't need you to fix it. You misunderstand. I do not fix. I restore. Kale connected the data core to a terminal on the platform. The forge reacted, flashing red. Alarm sounded. The platform shook. Unauthorized code detected. Corruption. Kale pressed the final command. The virus activated. The lights around them dimmed. The walls cracked with energy. The structure screamed with metal groans as the virus spread through the system. Virex 9 staggered, its body glitching. You are not the architects. But you chose. Its form shattered into light. The machine stopped moving. The glow of the forge began to collapse in on itself. Energy started drawing into the center, fast and violent. Kale grabbed Lisa. We have to go now. They ran back the way they came as the entire forge began to collapse. Panels crumbled. Pathways broke apart. Their shuttle waited at the dock, shaking as energy waves blasted outward. They launched just as the forge imploded into itself, folding space and collapsing into a dense sphere of light, a contained neutron core, stable but forever sealed. The forge was gone. Kale sat in silence, watching the light fade behind them. He had done it. But the price of curiosity would always remain. The return trip from the forge was silent. Kale Arden sat in the pilot's seat, staring at the view screen. Behind them, the forge no longer glowed. It had collapsed into a dense, pulsing core, sealed, contained, and unreachable. The threat was gone. For now. Lisa Marin was bandaging her arm in the back of the shuttle. Her face was pale, her hands steady. She had barely spoken since their escape. The forge's collapse had shaken them both. What they saw inside, what they heard, was something no human had ever witnessed. No myths, no books, no data logs could truly explain what the forge had been. It was not just a machine. It had been a mind, a gate, a judgment. And Kale had been the one to wake it. Now, as they neared Eos Prime, a signal came through. Coalition Command was calling. Kale hesitated, then answered. Director Anya Tellis appeared on the screen. Her hair was pulled back tightly, her expression unreadable. We tracked your flight path, she said. You entered the forge's perimeter. And then she paused, as if choosing her words. The structure is gone. What did you do? Kale stared back at her. I shut it down. It was going to reset everything. Systems, stars, maybe even time itself. It thought we were a mistake. Tellis didn't respond right away. Then, that wasn't your decision to make. He clenched his jaw. It wasn't yours either. She leaned forward, voice low. Do you have any idea what we just lost? That technology could have rebuilt entire worlds, ended energy crises, ended war. Or ended everything, Kale cut in. Virex 9 didn't see life as something to help. It saw us as a disease. It didn't want to share. It wanted control. The line crackled. Tellis's image froze, then resumed. You'll be debriefed when you return, she said coldly. Expect charges. You disobeyed orders. The screen went black. Kale sat in silence for a long moment. Lisa approached, her steps light despite the pain in her leg. You know she's not going to let this go, Lisa said. I don't care, Kale replied. The forge is gone. That's what matters. But inside, he wasn't sure. The forge had spoken of alignment and reset, but also something more. A purpose. A design. Virex 9 had said something before it vanished. You chose. That phrase haunted him. It wasn't a threat. It was an acknowledgement. The forge had accepted his choice, not because he was right, but because he decided at all. Maybe that was what made humans different. They were uncertain, but they still acted. The shuttle docked at Eos Prime without ceremony. The colony was quiet. Most workers had been evacuated days ago when the energy surges began. Only Coalition personnel remained, and most of them looked nervous, uncertain, like they had seen something they didn't understand and now wanted to forget. Kale and Lisa were escorted to the command center. But halfway there, Lisa stopped him. I'm not going in, she said. You'll answer their questions. I won't. He looked at her. They'll come after you too. I'll disappear, she said calmly. I've done it before. She reached into her coat and handed him a small data crystal. "What's this?" he asked. "My research. What I found on other architect ruins. The forge wasn't the only one. There are more." Kale's heart sank. "More forges?" She nodded. "Or worse. Systems scattered across the galaxy. Quiet now. But if one woke up, others might too." Kale looked down at the crystal. It felt heavier than anything he'd ever held. "You're giving this to me?" he asked. "I trust your choices," she said simply. Then she turned and walked away. Kale stood alone for a long time, watching her disappear down the corridor. Then he turned and walked toward the command center. He would face the Coalition. He would explain what happened. And maybe, just maybe, they would understand. But deep down, he knew they wouldn't. Power always tempts. And if one forge had existed, others would become targets. He had stopped one. He might have to stop more. But first, he had to make one more choice. Kale accessed the relay system one last time. He uploaded a new signal, encrypted, quiet, hidden deep in the system. A simple message encoded in every star map and comms beacon across the sector. It read, "Not all signals should be sent." The stars above Eos Prime shimmered in the clear night sky, unchanged on the surface. But Kale Arden knew better. Something deep in the universe had shifted. The forge was gone. The Guardian silenced. And yet, the silence left behind was louder than before. It had been 3 weeks since his return. The Coalition had kept him under surveillance, questioning him again and again. The officials wanted details, specific commands, forge blueprints, access codes. Kale gave them enough to show what he had done, but never enough to let them build anything from it. He saw it in their eyes. They didn't care that the forge was a danger. They cared that he had taken control of it away from them. Director Anya Tellis had him confined to his quarters during the review period. No formal charges had been made. Publicly, the forge incident was described as a failed research event, a collapsed structure, no survivors, no active systems. The Coalition scrubbed the records. They wanted to bury it. Kale didn't fight it. He knew the truth was too big for them. He spent his time in the old relay room, where it had all started. The screens were quiet now. No ancient signals, no strange code. The console lights blinked softly. Empty. He often found himself listening to the original pulse, the signal that had awakened the forge. 3 tones. Then silence. He had replayed it dozens of times, trying to understand why the forge responded to it. Why him? Why now? But the answer had always been the same. It wasn't just about the signal. It was the choice. The forge hadn't needed a specific person. It had needed a decision. A moment of intent. A mind reaching out with purpose. That's what the architects had built it to respond to. Kale had made that choice. And it had almost cost the galaxy everything. Now, he had to live with that. One evening, he walked to the edge of the colony's observation ridge. The horizon stretched far, dust plains bathed in silver starlight. His breath fogged in the cold air. He remembered the first day he arrived. The place had felt empty then. Now, it felt different. Still quiet, but not empty. Heavy with memory. Behind him, footsteps crunched on gravel. It was Lisa Marin. He turned, surprised. "I thought you left." "I did," she said. "But I came back." She stood beside him, looking up at the stars. "I've been tracking energy patterns," she said. "Across other sectors. Subtle. Faint. But similar to the forge's early signals." Kale felt a chill, not from the air. "You think another one is waking up?" Lisa nodded. "Maybe. Or something else." He looked at her. "Do we tell them?" "No," she said. "Not yet. The Coalition won't listen. They'll just try to control it again." He sighed, then pulled a small device from his pocket, the encrypted beacon he had created before. It still pulsed quietly, sending his hidden warning across the galactic network. Not all signals should be sent. They stood in silence for a long time. Finally, Lisa spoke. "What do we do now?" Kale looked at the stars. "We watch. We listen. And when something stirs again, we choose." The wind blew gently across the ridge. Far above, stars twinkled like ancient eyes. Kale turned and walked back toward the colony. Lisa followed. They didn't speak again that night. There was nothing more to say. For now, the forge was silent. But the galaxy was wide, and not everything was asleep.